All right, we're down here at the spindle now. Before you install this hub, you need to clean your spindle up, especially where the seal is going to ride. You can see where it was riding, how it keeps the dirt out, oiled in. That's the purpose. That's what you hope happens anyway. But you know, see, we have our drain pan here situated, catching what little oil the wind didn't blow everywhere. But we have our oil cap sitting in the pan. Well, if you are familiar with this, or if you're not, brake clean is great stuff, but it will not clean this plastic. It'll clean it great, but what'll happen is when you spray brake clean on this, it is not transparent anymore. It fogs it up like a, you know, like a bathroom window or something, so you can't see where the oil's at in it. So you need to, if you have this in your drain pan, draining like we did, you need to pick this up, get it away from where you're going to be cleaning, because you don't want to get brake clean on it by accident and have to get another one. If you have one, that's great, but if you don't, it sucks. So we're going to clean this up and get ready for our hub. Looks pretty clean to me. Stuff dries really fast, but you want to just make sure, you know, you don't want the brake clean actually in the mix with your oil, because it breaks oil down. Wouldn't recommend it being in there. So just make sure it's dry. You don't want to leave any fiber particles behind either. You know, once you get it clean, you just want to look at it, make sure there's no clumps of towel, or the most infamous is those famous red mechanic towel or red shop towels. They leave junk everywhere. All right, so we got that all cleaned up. Let me grab my hub. Actually, got ahead of myself again. Your seal's gonna ride here, inner bearing, outer bearing. So I always like to take and put me a little dab-a-doo-you of oil on where the seal's going to ride. That way when you're putting the hub on here, it has a little slickum. And like I say, when you first start rolling out of your yard, it'll have something to lubricate the seal instead of tearing the seal up. Also where the inner bearing's going to ride. You know, anything you can do to help you out, just make life easier for you. All right, now let me grab my hub. All right, these hubs are heavy. I didn't mention that taking them off, but these hubs are, you know, I don't know, 50 pounds or so. They're pretty heavy. You want to keep it supported, kind of centered it up, right? So you get it on there, you can feel it. Then you get your fingers out of the way. You'll smash the hell out of it. And wiggle, push. There you go. Very important to keep your hands clean during all this. You're handling all these bearings. Introducing dirt is not a good thing. So we'll get your inner bearing. Whew, that's heavy. Get this trash put away. There we go. Just remember, inspect your bearing. Make sure it's all good. Take you some oil. I have to put me a light little bead around it. I'm not trying to super oil it, just to give it something to get a little slickum in there until slickum gets in there, you know what I mean? Give that a minute, kind of run through there a little bit. Then you can take, set it in here like this. Ooh. Got it kind of going crooked. There we go. There you go. Yeah. All right, fellas. Now here is where you remember you took your bearings apart. You stacked everything certain ways. So this is why we do this. Clean all that up, check it out. Your inner washer. Your inner nut. And you always make sure your tools are clean. Throwing apart's not so serious, but putting it back is pretty important. We have to pull this bearing up in there. That's what we're going to do with this. See it? There it goes. Alright, your interlock nut is 100 foot-pound of torque. Your initial torque. You want to rotate your hub. I know it's kind of hard to do with one guy. Got a buddy, that'd be super great. Just take your time. Just kind of little by little. What this is doing, this is seating your bearings. Alright, so there's a 100 foot-pound. Give it a roll. See, it's pretty tight to roll. What you've done, you just seat them. What you did is you pulled them into the races. That's where they need to ride. So now, you break it loose. You don't turn the hub anymore. See, now it's broke loose. Should be able to turn them by hand right here, right? So you want to tighten it by hand. Tighten it by hand, give it a little snug. Then you take, this is why if I can reuse my tang washer, I do. Just a little trick here. So you have to keep wondering or guessing. See, I lifted 2 tangs bent in. So this is going inside, just like this. So what I do, you're supposed to loosen this 1/4 to 3/8. So if this is straight up, you need 1/4. It's going to be over here somewhere. But then you take and line your mark up here in your tang, so you can see this tang now matches, and this tang over here matches. That's the way we took it apart, and I've kept it that way since new. So that is Dexter's in play there. I mean, that is what they had designed, or what their technician set into it. So if I can reuse my tang washer, I do. That prevents me having to you know, see if I got it right or not. Give it a wiggle, make sure there's no real serious in play. And now it rolls pretty easy. All right. So now you take your outer lock nut, shine it up real good. I'm going to spin this baby on. Now while you're tightening this, you want to watch your inner nut. You don't want the inner nut to move. You want it to stay right where it is at. So we're going to loosen this old torque wrench. We're going to take it to 150 foot-pound. Hint torque specs 100 to 150. I go to the high side. What's it going to hurt? All right, put that baby on here. Remember, watch your inner nut, make sure it doesn't turn. And we'll check it again just to make sure. And that is 150 foot-pound, so we should be good on that. Loosen that, take some torque off of it. Get out of your way. Now we're going to hit our hammer again and a punch. So if you look right here, you're going to see your tangs sticking straight up. You see the one we straightened out right here. It's probably not going to go anymore. So we're going to rock this one. I normally do two. You can do as many as you want. But you got a good one here and a good one there. It's about your options. So you want it on the flattest spot of the nut. I kind of hook my punch in here like this. Get behind it. Roll it down. Then I'll get behind this one. Roll it down. You can take your punch, put on it. You ain't got to beat the hell out of it. Just want to flatten it out. Grab this one. Now, if you look, they're laying flat on the nuts. What this does is it prevents your nut from backing off. It's got the outer one, and these other two have your inner nut. So for it to back up, it's going to break the keyway off of the tang, so they both can spin. It's got them both locked by one tang washer there. That is the purpose of your tang washer, to keep everything right where you want it to be. You good? All right, so we got our bearings tight, tang washer, everything good to go here, right? Spins easy. There's no real end play to speak of. You can see just from cleaning and everything, there's dirt all over the brake rotor. So you want to take a quick second, get your brake clean, and blow that off. Not that it's not going to kill anything to have dirt on your brake rotors, but while putting something back together that's super dirty, and you don't want the grit in there. All right, now we're going to reassemble our brake rotor. What I like to do is kind of sit this here like this so I can work with it. Keep a hand on it though. You don't really want it to fall. Risk breaking a brake line. Seal them in there. You take these little retainers, and they're meant to sit in here like so. They just, more or less, they're anti-rattle clips is all they really are. They keep your brakes from rattling when they're not applied. You can see the little hook. You just hook it in behind this brake shoe, and this one, brake pad, is the same way. So it's in there. They're really simple, but they're quite confusing. All right, and then this one is going to be the same way. You're going to set this one in the exact same. You get it. All right, there's that one. There's that one. Once you get them in, your brakes are going to stay put. Now make sure you don't, twist up your brake hose and all that kind of stuff. So pay attention to your brake hose when you're putting it back. You always set the pads on up here. Kind of ease it down like so. Alright, now on my bolts. Haven't done any reading on this, but because you want to inspect them, make sure they're not just really super grooved up. Have a little groove, but I can live with it. But I always take, ooh, what's that O-ring? You gotta keep that O-ring on there. I always take and give them a quick anti-seizing job. I do that because the brakes they compress and on this bolt, so I'm trying to keep it good and lubed up. These O-rings sit inside this groove just to keep crap out of the sliding mechanism, but you need them there. All right, now here you have to put them in the holes and ring those holes with these retainer clips. So it's rather kind of tedious. It can be plain aggravating. But I always take a little hammer. This ain't a little hammer, but you know, a little hammer and a screwdriver. So you can pick your brake pads up and down. Get everything lined up just like you like it here. Let me free my hands up. Here we go. There, huh? So now you're gonna wiggle this around. Now you got that in there. So we just kind of bump this through a little bit. Now you can see it's hanging right here on this back clip. So this is where my screwdriver comes in handy. Always push that in. Move your brake pad around. Hold our mouth just right. There you go. That took too long. Sometimes you get it like that. Just fights the whole way. We gotta put that ring right inside there. There we go. Now, start your nut on the back. Don't tighten it. You're still in that one. Quick little. All right. Same thing. Start your hole, you gotta wiggle and fight and hold your mouth just right type of thing. Now, there we go. Get our brake pad. Alright, start your nut on the back side of this one. These are lock nuts. You want the lock out. You can see how it's kind of like a crimp lock nut. You kind of squish it to make it lock. But you want the flat side in, the conical side up. Remember, 8mm Allen head, 19mm wrench. Just kind of once you get the brakes on, make sure you can still turn your hub, and we still can, so we're in good shape there. All right, we're gonna grab our oil cap. We're gonna clean that up and stick it on. And it's time for tires and oil. All right, fellas, clean this grease cap, oil cap, whatever you want to call this thing. You know, don't use brake clean. Brake clean will ruin them. So what I do is I always just use regular old Dawn dishwashing soap. Just pull that out. You can take your O-ring off if you want to. I'll leave it on. Then I just take and get a little liberal amount of soap in there, enough to wash 3 or 4 sink loads of dishes. Take my toothbrush out of the house. Not really. Just, you know, just start giving it a little bath with your toothbrush here. Once you do this, I don't recommend using this for a toothbrush anymore. Might taste a little funny. So anyway, just get in here and get after it. Get in all these little crevices. And if you're anal like me, you don't want to see anything old oil in a new setup. So I really try to get after it, get in there, and just get everything I can out. Now, you can do the same. Turn my water back on. A lot of your leaking issues, like seals, axle seals, believe it or not, are due to this cap. We'll get it shined up here in a minute. We'll show you what we're talking about. So in this cap, here's a breather hole. You know, this thing has the bearings and all roll around, and oil sloshes and foams and does its thing, right? It creates a little pressure in there, so it has to be able to vent somehow. So what you got here, can't really see it very well. There we go, making my shirt pretty. If you look, you can see a little hole right here. If that gets stopped up, this is where it's supposed to, you know, evacuate the pressure, right? So I just take and poke something through it, you know, kind of swirl it around a little bit, and now your hole should be unstopped. So if you ever have leaking wheel seals, I mean, this is something when you do this, you need to either replace them. You can buy them at the parts store, any Fleet Pride or Big Tex or any trailer dealer should have these in stock. You can make sure the hole's clean, or you can just run down and grab 4 new ones for, I don't know, a few dollars. But anyway, always check that. All right, we got her cleaned up. I'm gonna put it back on. Make sure there's no trash around this O-ring. Make sure, you know, you're free of dirt. Make sure it's there. And these do stretch. If you see one hanging off, they droop. You know, you need to replace it, because then they won't fit inside this lip here. It's gonna have a problem sealing. So you put it on, you hand tighten it. Again, make sure your O-ring is not drooping out. So just hand tighten it. Now these don't take a lot of torque. You can use pliers, whatever you want to use. The recommended foot-pound here, it says 21 to 36 pounds. So I don't go to 36. I'll rock 30 is what I'll do. Spin it down here to 30. There we go. Just stick her on there. Nope, we gotta use our tool. There we go. Now 30 pounds, it's not going to make a lot of noise when it clicks. You just have to kind of feel for it. Hear it? So it's not much. All right, now for your oil. This is going to be a pretty lengthy process. We're not going to sit here and wait till it's slam full, because anybody knows that you put your oil in, it has to go. This is oil just room temperature, basically. It's outside of today's mid-high 70s. So it's not super warm. It's thick oil to start with. So you're going to put it in. It's going to seep through this outer bearing and through the inner bearing to create itself level. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take several trips checking this thing, right? So we're just going to, and if you look, see this little ring that goes around, this little line? It's like a clear line you can see that just makes a loop. That is your fill line. Now, in your first initial fill, it's okay to overfill it, because it's going to go down. It is going to go down. There's no doubt. You know, then you're going to do this. You're just going to fill it up. Wait. Fill it up. Wait. As you do it, you don't want to overfill. You want to keep it to the fill line. If you overfill, you got to pull the cap back off to get oil out. Because if you overfill and you don't do anything about it, oil is going to go out the seal. It's going to go somewhere, and out the seal is the easiest way. So you just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like this, right? Best thing to do, if you got other things to do, is go do them. Every 10-20 minutes, come back and look. Add, come back, look. Then let it sit overnight. Next morning, before you leave, check the level on the oil. And then from there, when you stop to buy fuel, anytime you get out of your truck, look at it and make sure it is full. You're going to watch these new, when you put a seal in, you're going to watch this hub. You know, you're going to watch it like a hawk for a couple of days just to make sure everything's good. Make sure your oil, make sure your seal is going to seal and it's not still spitting oil out of the back. You're going to be just watching this hub a lot. If you really want to get serious about it, you can get a thermometer and actually shoot the temperature, one of those laser thermometers, shoot the temperature of this hub compared to the 3 that you haven't messed with. And if it's running an average of the rest of them, you're good to go. If it's running way hotter, your bearings are too tight, or you're low on oil or something, so you need to look into it. That's what you're going to do, is just keep checking this until it's full. And then, like I say, check it the next morning, because this oil has to go through those bearings to get where it needs to be. Alright, fellas, so we got our hub back on. We got some oil in it. We're letting it kind of go down as we go here. While you got tires off, like I said, this is a great time to check your tire pressure. If you'll look right here on the tire, every tire has it. You can actually, if you don't know what they hold, you can read max load at 125 psi cold. Cold means they haven't been on the road. They haven't been driven. The belts are not hot. You know what I'm saying? It's been sitting all day. All right. Now these are heavy. Like I said, these are the 17.5 commercial 16 ply tires. They are not light. So what I like to do, kind of roll them in, get it wiggled up under the hub. Then you sit flat on your tail with your feet out like this. You always want a handy dandy tool. And again, I spin my holes to where I get my hands on them. I use my feet and my hands to help get it on there. Just about as far as you can. And then get this tire here. My cameraman is sitting on. Same thing. Now on these, there's only 2 holes in the wheel. Got the valve stem in one hole, blank in the other hole. So you have to put the blank one in line with this valve stem. That's meant so you can check them while they're on the trailer. So pay attention to that, because you will hate it if you don't. again. I always like to sit down. Use my legs and my arms. Now before you put lug nuts on, you want to look in here and make sure that you can see this valve stem in this blank hole. So all that's good. Just sit them in there like that. Remember, this tang is out. It will not go that way. It just will not do it. But you can try, but it won't do it. And there you go. One wheel bearing assembly done. Wheel seal. Remember, if you don't need races, don't worry about the race part of this, but that is a general Dexter 10, 12, 15,000 pound axle. How you do wheel bearings. You can see all this step by step in the Dexter. You can download the Dexter manual online for free. Gives you all your torque specs, all your clearances, things you need to know. But that's just the way I do them. I recommend a seal tool. And if you don't know what you're doing, if you have no idea, if this scares you, you know, take it somewhere, pay someone. But this is the way to save some money doing this yourself, because out here on this road, it's tough. You know, hotshot market is down, trucking is down, any flatbed freight is down. So this is how you can save yourself some money, because you're talking hundreds of dollars for this. I never had it done. I've always done it myself, never paid anyone to do it, so I don't know what it costs exactly. But you're talking minimal, a couple $100. I mean, it's got to be. And you can do this all yourself. And if you're doing this, if you know what you're doing, after you do one, pretty much all the same. You should have this done from the tires taken off to the tires back on under an hour. And that's staying steady at it, having all your tools where you need them. But we're talking less than an hour for the whole job. And it just saves you a lot of time. Now, I'm doing 4. Doing all 4. So all 4 bearings, all 8. 2 bearings per wheel. So all 4 inners, all 4 outers, all the races, all the seals, the oil, the brake clean, everything I bought. We're looking at $650, and you know, a day's work. If you had that done at a shop, it would kill some money. But guys, like I say, if you don't know what you're doing, have a friend that does, or just take it somewhere and pay someone. But if you are mechanically inclined, you can do this. It doesn't take, it's not rocket science. So like I say, just watch the video, watch other videos, and just decide for yourself. Maybe it helped, maybe it didn't. And y'all have a good day. Hey folks, hope you enjoyed that video on bearings and seals on a 12K axle, on a Dexter 12K axle. If it helped you, or if you learned anything from it, you know, hey, like it, subscribe. I'll say first video. Kind of gearing these videos toward owner operators that they don't really have an idea of what's going on as far as mechanical ability. Had a lot of calls, you know, from people in your group that have no idea anything mechanical. Like this wheel bearing here, lost. If your check engine light comes on, what do you do? Yeah, I mean, what kind of fluid does your transmission take? Just questions that you're amazed. You're like, oh my God. I mean, if they only knew half of what they're asking, they would save so much money. Bouncing from mechanic to mechanic, paying people to do little simple things that could mean, you know, your run being profitable, or giving all your money away to maintenance. And especially on the side of the road, when this thing really breaks, something goes wrong, you have to know what you're looking at. You have to know, you know, hey, is this serious? Do I need a tow truck? You have to know. Can I get it running to move it? You know, whatever you need. So if you have no idea about any of this, I encourage you to talk to your friends that are mechanically inclined, read books, get your hands dirty, because sometimes the smallest thing that you picked up from someone will help you to save hundreds. And in this owner-operator hotshot world, it's feast or famine. So any money you can save is very well worth it. Like I say, this was the Dexter 12K axle, same process on a 10, and I believe the same on a 15. I think the torque specs are the same for everything. Your bearings may get bigger or smaller, essentially all the same thing. So like I say, like and subscribe if you don't mind. Y'all have a good day.